Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Heart Parish. We, the parish community, offer our heartfelt condolences to the family of Fern and Amyotte. We extend a warm welcome to any out-of-town guests and visitors, and those of you who have joined us today for the funeral mass for Fern. Before we begin, please note the following announcements. For those who are visiting or unfamiliar with our practices, Holy Communion is for those who are practicing Catholics. If you are not a practicing Catholic, you are welcome to come forward to receive a blessing. You may cross your arm over your chest to indicate that you would like a blessing. Thank you. To maintain the reverence of the sacred celebration, please ensure that your cell phone is on silence or turned off. I now invite Sharon Gagnon to come forward and share the words of remembrance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just before I start this, I just want to share the last day that I visited with Fern. Some of the words she said to me was, "I have peace." And she said, "God is using me more now than ever." And I think she really meant was that her faith was so strong, no matter what, that it built the faith in other people. So God used her, and I'm so thankful for that. So Fern Yvonne Marie Levesque was born May 10th, 1947. She was one of 13 children to Cecile and Gideon Levesque in the small community of Fort Solage, Quebec. She had many fond memories of life growing up on the farm. She told stories of fishing with her brother in a small creek by their farm and bringing their catch home for their mom to cook for dinner. She married Eldon Amyotte in November of 1965. They welcomed a son, Daniel, the following year. Eldon went to work as a faller on the west coast of BC, and Fern and little Dan took a long train ride to join him soon after. In February 1969, while living in Kitimat, they were blessed with a daughter, Suzette, to complete their family. They spent 16 years on the Queen Charlotte Islands, now known as Haida Gwaii, raising their kids. Fern worked in the housekeeping department at the school and hospital. After the kids were grown, they decided to move back to the mainland and settled in Terrace, where they lived a comfortable life for many years. The family grew as their children started families of their own, gifting them with 3 granddaughters, Sarah, Caitlin, and Jessica. The girls loved spending time cooking, baking, and shopping with Grandma. So many adventures, camping, playing at the park, and family dinners. Fern loved music, dancing, dinner parties, and dessert, especially dessert. Our girl loved dessert after every meal, and sometimes even in the middle of the night, she would get up to have tea and cake. She had a weakness for Tim Hortons carrot muffins. She was a kind and special woman who made friends easily. One day she answered an ad in the newspaper for a nanny for Margaret and Eric Durando and got the position looking after their 2 boys, Carter and Craig. The job would last 6 years, but the loving friendship that grew over that time would last a lifetime. She loved the Durando family like her own. She always had a spot at their table for family dinners and will hold a special spot in their hearts forever. Into every life, tragedy shows up along the way, and Fern and Eldon's son Dan passed away unexpectedly in 2004. At the same time, their daughter was battling brain cancer, so they moved to Kelowna to be closer to her and her family. She was so fortunate to be able to spend this valuable time as a cure was not to be, and Suzette succumbed to her illness in 2012. In November 2013, less than a month before their first great-grandchild was to be born, Eldon suffered a heart attack, a fatal heart attack. A lot of loss for one woman to endure, but her strong faith and the love and support of friends and family helped her through these tough times. A few years later, Fern decided to return to Terrace to be closer to her brother Paul, her other 2 granddaughters, Sarah and Caitlin, her bonus grandson, Desmond, and her 2 great-grandchildren, Caleb and Sawyer. She still had many friends here and would make many more over the next several years who would all hold dear places in her heart. She was an early riser and enjoyed starting her morning on the patio, drinking coffee and watching the sun come up over the mountains. She enjoyed being busy and filled her days walking the Millennium Trail, coffee dates, and shopping with her friends. She even found time to volunteer at the local food bank. Fern loved all her grandchildren so very much and attended many school plays and Christmas concerts and was always cheering in the stands at sporting events. She had a special bond with her great-granddaughter, Sawyer. She would take her for sleepovers and they would go on lunch dates with her lady friends, talk on the phone with family back east, and paint each other's nails. Grandma always had a special treat for each of her grandbabies when they would come to visit. Some loved her for home-baked cookies. Others loved her store-bought Twinkies. Cut up apples and toast cut into triangles. Almost all of them had a love for strawberry milk. There was always a new game or toy to play with every time they came to visit, and she was always just as excited to give it as they were to receive it. It was always hard for her to keep a present until the day it was due, be it a birthday or Christmas. Christmas was Fern's absolute favorite holiday. She loved the music, decorating, baking cookies, and building gingerbread houses with the kids, and dinner was always fantastic. Every occasion was filled with love and laughter. She made the best meat pies, and everyone looked forward to her jam cookies every year. Hopefully, we all learned some things along the way and can do her recipes justice in the future. When Fern was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer earlier this year, she was worried she wouldn't make it to Christmas. So in August, we had an early surprise Christmas for her, complete with decorations, tree, and turkey dinner. Thank you, Marion, Dot, Frida. They couldn't have done it without your hard work. Finding a turkey in August was a challenge, but we did luck out. Thank you, Reg and Shirley. Even had meat pies, thanks to her friend Cecile. Fern was so happy and surprised she read her cards over and over for the week that followed, just amazed that her friends loved her so very much. She was blessed to have been able to visit and make memories with those she cared about this past year. Her granddaughter Jessica and her boyfriend Brody came for a visit in March, and it was so great to spend time with them before Grandma's health took a turn and the cancer fractured a vertebrae and put her in the hospital for a month. She made the best of it, though, celebrating her birthday in the hospital, partied all day. Her coffee crew of ladies showed up with cards, flowers, and gifts. The other patients in the room got in on the fun and sang happy birthday. The whole family showed up to have cake, and a special seafood dinner was delivered by Chief Skidegate himself. Thank you, Billy. When she was able to go home, in June, her niece Yvette came to stay and spoiled her for a week. In August, she was surprised with another week-long visit from her nephew Robert. All 3 Peltier kids who grew up alongside her own kids, Jennifer, Nancy, and Jocelyn, their spouses, kids, and even grandkids, stopped in to visit. Seeing all these people and remembering old times truly filled her heart. She called her friends and family weekly and made sure everyone knew how much they meant to her. She didn't want anyone to be sad. She reconnected and made amends with people she hadn't spoke to in years. She didn't want to leave this world with things left unsaid or unsettled. She endured her illness and pain with such grace and dignity. She tried to be positive and was so hopeful for a miracle recovery until the very end. Her family back east wasn't able to travel to be here today, but wanted to thank everyone, including Dr. Linton, his nurse Corey, the home support staff, and the palliative nurses who ensured she was well and cared for and pain-free for as long as possible. Father James for his weekly visits delivering communion, and a very special thank you to her daughter-in-law and dear friends who stayed by her side day and night in order to make it possible for Fern to remain at home. During her final months, it truly meant the world to her. Thank you all for your love, friendship, support, and kindness. It won't be forgotten. Until we meet again, dear Fern, we shall remember the life you lived with love. You are now pain-free and reunited with the family you have missed for so long. Rest well.